I'm Tom Bessel.
And I'm Melody.
And today we're taking a look at Bohemian Villages. That's the English name. All right. This is a game that's from the same designer who did Orleans, which is a game I really like. But this is a much lighter game. This is a dice rolling game where you try to control towns. Mm-hmm. There's some similarities to maybe Can't Stop-ish. I don't know. Here, watch how it's played. Players are going to put out these town tiles here. This is for a 5-player game. You're actually going to put out fewer if you play a 3 to 4-player game. And you can put out either side, and they're going to be pretty much, there's just a few changes from one side to the other. So you're going to put these out here. And each player is going to get a number of workers. Again, this is based on, these figures are based on a number of players you have. So for example, if you're playing 2 players, you'd have 13. Otherwise, you would have 10. On a player's turn, they're going to roll 4 dice. And they're going to be putting workers out based on what they've rolled. So if I roll these, I can take these 2 dice and make a 6, put a worker here, and then these are a 7 and put a worker here. Or I could have used these 2 to make a 5 to put a worker here, and these 2 to put a worker here on 8. Or I could have used these 3 to put a worker on 8. I don't think I would have done that. Let's try these 3. That would have been a 12. And then this one I wouldn't do nothing with. You can never use 1 die, but you can use 3 or 4. So you're going to put out 1 or 2 workers on a turn. And when you put them out, it has to be an unoccupied building, unless some of the buildings, and we'll talk about those in a second, if they're all filled, you can kick somebody out by going there. So you're going to put out 1 or 2 people at a time. And this is going to keep going until one person has no one left to place, and at which point then you will score. So let's talk about the buildings themselves. First of all, there are flour mills. Each flour mill, and also the glass factories are the same way. So a glass mat factory or a flour mill. When you go to one of those, you will take the appropriate token. Now these tokens, these are worth 2 points, and these are worth 3 points, 3 coins. And by the way, coins are the points of the game and how you win. When the last one of these tokens is taken, everyone will turn however many they have in, and take 3 coins and 2 coins, and then also pull their people off of those factories so that you can put them out again. If at the game ends before you score these, they're not going to be worth those 2 or 3 points at the end of the game. They're just worth half of that at the end. So you want to score them as the game goes by. If you put people into a farm, you can see there's farms. They're usually up at the top of each spot. You immediately get coins equal to the number of farms you have. So if I have a guy in a farm, I would get 1. I put him here, I get 2. I put him here, I get 3. So the more farms you have, the more points you get. And you can see there's a lot of different farms around the board. When you go to an inn, each inn here has a tile that you would take with that. And you're going to place that in front of you like this. You're going to need a certain number of buildings in that village. So there has to be 3 other buildings occupied. So they could be filled with your people or other people's. When you do that, you'll flip this over, and at the start of each turn, you get a coin for each of these you have that's active. A town hall is very similar here. When you're in a town hall, at the end of the game, if you don't have a town hall at all, you lose 5 points, but you will also get points equal. This one here is worth 10, but every building in this one has to be occupied. So that's usually useful if you fill in a lot of those, because you can help make that happen, but other people might fill them in because they might want the special abilities that those give. There are churches here. At the end of the game, whoever has the most churches gets 10, and second most gets 6 coins. They also give points during the course of the turn, and you will get 1 point you'll get 1 coin for each church you have, but only if you have the bishop. The way you get the bishop is if you roll doubles. So if you have 2 doubles, instead of putting a figure out, you can take the bishop, and then he'll give you a coin for each church that you have. And then the manors, they're right here. You just get whatever coins it shows. This one shows 3, this one shows 8. So that's a set number of points that you can get. You can also, instead of when you roll 2 dice, instead of placing a figure, you can just get rid of them and take one of these re-roll tokens, which will let you re-roll dice on a future turn. Now remember I said when you put your people out, you can kick people. You can kick them out of farms if they're all full. You can kick them out of inns, town halls, and churches. You don't need to worry about kicking people out of the glass places and these flour mills because they're going to just basically come out themselves. Anyway, you keep going, like I said, until one person has all their people on the board. At that point, you will score it. Most money, winner. So at the beginning of this game, I said it was a little bit like Can't Stop. Use that same mechanism. You roll 4 dice, and you can split them into pairs of 2. Or you can split it into a pair of 3 and take one building, right? But the game is pretty easygoing because there's always
something.
No, I guess there's not always something.
But it's not hard to like, oh, do I want this one or this one or this one? It's just like this one or this one.
Right. I mean, you have a 6 and a 7 or a 3 and a 2. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But, you know, you have the different numbers that match. But you can always get rid of a pair of dice to take a reroll token for the future anyway. And the game plays like that, really. Yeah. Especially if you're playing with 2 players, you can go back and forth really quickly. But even with 3 and 4, I haven't played with 5. But even more players, it moves around the table pretty quickly. The board starts filling up. There's good spots. You take the good spots. But the flour and the glass is interesting because you're collecting those, but they don't score unless you pop it. And if you pop it, then you score, then you start trying to collect them again. And if you collect a lot of them, but you don't pop it at the end of the game, you've wasted your time. Yeah. Town halls, on the other hand, that's what you like, right? Yeah. Because you have to fill up the whole village. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, I'm not putting one in there. I'm going to give Melody points. But I really want that
building.
Yeah, I do. So what did you think of this?
I thought it was really fun. It was really simple. You just roll dice, you pick the building. For me, I'm just like, okay, if I have these options, that's good. Or I'm like, I really hope I get this number because I really want that building to like finish the town or take it before he takes it. And I liked how the harder buildings to get, like the little shops, they're like more points. And it was fairly balanced too. Even if someone has like bad luck with the rolls, they can still get more buildings.
Yeah, the biggest problem that this game has, besides the fact that it looks boring, the biggest problem the game has is I don't know that there's a ton. The replayability is there, but it's essentially the same game. This is super light. You are going to roll dice, and it's not like, this game, I'm going to try the town hall strategy. No, you roll dice and see what happens. And so, you might get the town hall, but you might not. So you might just, it's more tactical where you say, okay, I'm just going to roll dice, and then pick the best option based on that. Mm-hmm. So this is not, if you're like, the guy made Orleans. Okay, well, calm down for a second, because this is a very different style. That's not a bad game. It's more of a filler game, a game that we'd play. Now, there's other dice rolling games out there. Is this one better than the other ones? Would you buy this game?
Well, it depends on what dice game you're comparing it to, because I'm not usually a big fan of luck games, because they just stress me out, because I usually don't do well on them. But this one, I don't know.
I do well on strategy either, but okay, sorry, continue. Sorry, side note.
Like, even though if you rolled bad, like I said earlier, you can still do something, unless you like did really horrible. But then if you can't do something, you can just get a reroll and do better different turn.
So this one's okay in your book then?
Yes.
What would you rate it?
Like a 7 or 6.5-ish.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of right there myself. It's a good, solid little game. Nothing spectacular, and I suspect maybe in a few years people will have forgotten about it. I don't even know if an English publisher is picking it up at this point or not. But it was enjoyable. It was pleasant, I guess is the best word to describe it. You just roll some dice, put things out. Sometimes you're like, oh man, that's where I was going to go. And like, someone take the last grain sack so these can, get points. But other than that, it's the kind of game you roll dice, you do it, you're talking, laughing, having a good time. Yeah. That's Bohemian Villages. I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Melody.
And this has been Double Trouble.
Boom!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.